It's not the person refusing to let go of the past, but the past refusing to let go of the person. When we feel weak, we drop our heads and our shoulders on others.
The Legends of Korra gets a lot of hate, but it's truly one of my favorite continuations of a series. To me, it's just a story of resilience, trauma, and the enduring human spirit. Today, we're going to explore Korra's profound struggle with PTSD. Did you know at least 6% of people struggle with PTSD? Maybe you know somebody with this disorder or you don't, but it's always good to have insight. You're probably wondering, what is PTSD? Well, it's a psychiatric disorder that can arise from experiencing or witnessing traumatic events. From feeling emotionally shattered to questioning her own identity as the Avatar. Korra's journey is a powerful depiction of battling against inner demons I feel like anybody could learn from. So join me while we break down Korra's PTSD. You ever wondered, what are the symptoms of PTSD? Well, there are 4 main symptoms, and the first one has to do with just reliving bad memories. The second one could be resisting conversations about the traumatic event. Third is pretty simple, just having trouble falling asleep. And the final one is a loss of interest in the things you once enjoyed. If you ask me, Korra shows symptoms of all of these traits I've mentioned, and they all stem from one problem. Her villains. Without a doubt, Korra has faced some of the toughest villains ever depicted on screen. In Season 1, Korra faces Amon, a mysterious leader of an anti-bender revolutionary group known as the Equalists. Their ultimate goal was to introduce equality for all by permanently ridding the world of benders. You see, at first, this isn't a problem for Korra, because since a baby she's been stubborn and strong-willed. It's probably why she uses the element of fire so much and struggled to learn how to be an airbender. If it's one thing, Korra is definitely hard-headed and never backs down from a fight. It's until she learns how Amon plans on taking bending away, which was truly terrifying for her. You see, this action sparked fear into Korra for the first time. Amon physically breaks Korra mentally, and he uses this tactic. It's fear. You see, stress and fear, in response to actual or possible threat, enhances the possibility of forming trauma-related memories. You see, Amon doesn't just beat Korra, the worst she's ever been beaten, but he tells her that it's not her time to get her powers taken away, and when she's ready, he'll come. He lets Korra go, but this leads to something we've never seen from Korra at this time.
I felt so helpless.
She's vulnerable. She breaks down. She can't handle it. You see, the next time they fight, Amon gets what he wants. The time is ready. He can now strip Korra of her bending, and he does. This one event has so much pressure just because of who Korra is. You see, Korra was still able to defeat Amon by unlocking airbending, her only ability at this point. But even after all that, the aftermath is still terrible on her mental. You see, Korra is the Avatar, the master of all 4 elements. How can she do her one duty if she only has one now? Korra has so much pressure on her shoulders just to be the best Avatar she possibly can, but there's no way you can do that with only having one element. The aftermath of fighting Amon was very scary. Everyone's sitting in a waiting room seeing if Korra can get her powers back, just for the elderly Katara to have no idea what to do. This leaves Korra with so much uncertainty that she just walks outside. With tears running down her face, she's met with Aang, who then shows her how to bring her bending back and how to restore the lost bending of others. You see, right now, Korra could be diagnosed with PTSD type 1, normal stress response. Normal stress response is what occurs before PTSD begins. However, it doesn't always lead to full-blown disorder. And the events of Season 2 slowly worsened Korra's trauma. You see, Season 2 is kind of built off Korra's trust. You see, Korra is tricked by her uncle Unalaq come help open the spiritual portals in the North and Southern Water tribes. This was all a fake ploy for him to gain power and to start a civil war. You see, even in Season 1, until she beat Amon, Korra did not have a good public view. This is also amplified in Season 2 because she has to pick between representing her Southern Water tribe and the Northern Water tribe. Something strange about this season is that Korra didn't want to take any constructive criticism from Tenzin. Generally think Korra is acting like this is because of her actions in Season 1. She was vulnerable. She's seen herself as weak and helpless, so now she's trying to make bigger decisions by trying to do things on her own instead of thinking things through. In this season, Korra pays the ultimate price. We learn the history about the Avatar connection and how Rava is an eternal Avatar spirit that lives in the Avatar. She's basically the tie from the spiritual world into the physical world and the ability to give them all powers of mastering the elements. Korra loses this in a fight against Unalaq, which destroys all the past lives and connections that the Avatar state has already comprehended. If you ask me, this is the biggest shock to Korra's mental, because remember, she was only able to figure out how to get her bending back with the help of her past lives. So without her past lives, she is truly alone. Korra is still able to beat Vaatu and Unalaq, but it still has a price. She can't get her past lives back no matter how hard she tries, and that's just something she has to deal with. The truth is, Korra is now isolated, with nobody to talk to that knows what she's going through. Yes, she has friends and family, but none of them have been the Avatar before. You see, if we wanted to, Korra could be diagnosed with PTSD type 2, Acute Stress Disorder. Acute Stress Disorder, while not the same as PTSD, can occur in people who have been exposed to what it feels like a life-threatening event. Natural disasters, loss of loved ones. And if we're talking about a loss of people, Korra lost over 80. You see, the plot of Season 3 is a result of Korra deciding to keep the spirit portals open. With the portals now being open, this results into something called harmonic convergence, which allows the birth of a new entire air nation that Korra is helping lead and build. With people unlocking airbending after their harmonic convergence, we get Zahir, the leader of the Red Lotus. You see, the Red Lotus is a group of 4, well really 5 members that aims to dismantle the world's political and spiritual structures, including the Avatar. You see, the Red Lotus is set up very differently from the other villains Korra face. It's because they're very serious. We can see this depicted when Zahir kills the Earth Queen. At least Amon was taking bending and not just straight up killing. These guys are willing to kill to get their point across. You see, Zahir and his group will stop at nothing just to get Korra. They tried kidnapping her as a baby, and even when they escaped prison. But with the help of Team Avatar, Korra was able to escape. And when they realized capturing her wasn't just gonna work, they resulted in something else. They went after her loved ones. This plan worked. They were able to get Korra to surrender by putting the lives of the Air Nation in their hands. Once again, I would like to say I think Season 3 did a really good job of expressing how serious the scenarios were in this season. Because when Korra realized this was all a trick and decided to fight back, something really gruesome happened. See, Suyin and Lin begin to fight Zahir's love interest, which results into her dying. Zahir is immediately phased, but not really. Zahir losing his only attachment to this earth actually made him a stronger villain. He cares nothing else but completing this mission, and will not stop until Korra is dead. He succeeds to knock her out, but this is only phase 1 of his plan. You see, instead of just killing Korra straight up, they use a liquidized poison to inject in her. They successfully poison Korra, but the only reason she's able to be alive right now is because of the Avatar state. At this point, one thing to notice is that this isn't even really Korra. You see, this is purely the rage of the Avatar state, wanting to keep itself alive and protecting itself at all costs. Korra eventually breaks out of the chains and begins to chase Zahir. This is one of the toughest fight scenes I've ever watched. I truly believe if it wasn't for other circumstances, one of them was going to kill each other. You see, Korra could have had the upper hand, but she can't because the poison is slowly killing her from the inside out. And the only way they had a chance of defeating Zahir is with the help of the Air Nation. You see, Korra basically died if it wasn't for Suyin metal bending the liquid poison out of her. At the end of the season, Korra is wheelchair ridden. This is the worst we have ever seen her. She can't speak. Mouth shut. If you ask me, Zahir mentally broke her, and we see the effects in the final season. At this point, Korra has full-blown PTSD, and the way the show depicts it is very haunting, literally.
I keep having visions of Zahir and what happened that day. Katara thinks a lot of this is in my head, so I've been meditating a lot.
Korra has been healing for 2 years with Katara, and spent another year just traveling. This means the world has been without an avatar for nearly 3 years, something that truly burdens Korra. She just can't figure out what's wrong with her. One of my favorite episodes in Korra, we see is depict that she's haunted by herself in the Avatar state, not truly realizing what's wrong. It is said that Korra has been lying to her parents and her friends back at Republic City, and they don't know why. No one knows where Korra is, and Korra is also searching for herself. You see flashbacks, nightmares, dissociation, memory problems, lying to your loved ones, isolating yourself, depression, identity stripping. All that behavior makes perfect sense if you consider PTSD. I mean, what's a way that shows fighting your own inner demons better than hopping into the boxing ring with yourself? Even though Korra is losing this battle, it's the thought that counts. She won't go out without a fight. She isn't able to gain help until she speaks with an elderly Toph, who gives her these wise words.
Your problem is you've been disconnected for too long. Disconnected from the people who love you, and disconnected from yourself.
You see, Toph begins to teach Korra how to bend the remaining metal out of her body, and in this process we can see the things that's been haunting Korra, which is Zahir. At first this was a little troubling for Korra, but Toph reminded her that she's stronger than the poison. Korra regains focus and begins to metal bend the poison out of her. When she's successfully done, this is only step 1 of her healing process. See, being away and not being the Avatar for 3 years leads to new villains that Korra has to face. We're introduced to Kuvira, Suyin's former right-hand in command who decided to revolt and start their own empire. During the fight with Kuvira, even though Korra is out of shape, we see something else. When Korra finally gets the upper hand, she's still haunted by herself, even with the poison outside of her body, causing her to lose the fight and Suyin and her family to be captured. After this fight takes place, Korra now thinks that nobody believes in her. They don't think that she's strong enough to do any real duties. So desperate to prove them wrong, she goes to the man that caused all this pain in the first place, Zahir. They begin to have a very interesting conversation, and Zahir has some of the most wisest words I've ever heard ever depicted in a television show.
Maybe it's time I realize I'll never be the same.
Neither of us are the same as before. I learned to fly, but now I'm bound in chains. You have all the power in the world and the freedom to use it, but you choose to hold yourself down.
See, at this point, with the poison out of her body, it is all mental. It is truly up to Korra to help herself get better. Inadvertently, Korra was able to get Zahir to help her through irony.
Whatever. Before, you were always talking about chaos and freedom. Then you took out the Earth Queen and created the worst dictator the Earth Kingdom has ever seen. Thanks for that.
I've heard rumors about her, but I didn't know she achieved so much power.
The next events were kinda shocking. Zahir was gonna help Korra into the spirit realm, something that she hasn't been able to do for 3 years. In this process, we can see what's been haunting Korra for so long, the events and the battles of that day. Korra almost dying in this event was something so suppressive and traumatic that has been blocking her this whole time. Shockingly, with the help of Zahir, she's able to enter the spirit world, and at this point, Korra is now fully healed. The biggest thing I took from Legends of Korra, that it teaches us that real strength is not the absence of fear and trauma, but the courage to face and overcome them. I also think that this show is a reminder to us that healing is a journey worth undertaking. Thank you for watching Media Munchies. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and comment, and peace.